Hello, I hope you're there. What have you been doing for exercise over the last few days? When this all started, the Prime Minister said we all had to choose one kind of activity each day and stick to it. But I think so many people around here were having accidents in the canal, trying out paragliding and scuba diving all day long, that he changed it. So now it's just an hour we have to have outside. And how have you been spending that, I wonder? I've been surprised I haven't seen many bikes and not a lot of people walking either. I decided I'd go out and walk around a bit, so on Tuesday I set out down Salmstead Hill, along the river and up towards Ufton Court. By the time I was halfway around, it was nearly dark. Have you noticed how clear the skies are at the moment? The moon was absolutely awesome. It was just beginning to show. The new moon, just the tiniest sliver of light in the sky. It grows bigger and bigger until you get the full moon. Then it begins to get dark again and fades away to nothing. Do you know how long that takes for the moon to grow and disappear again? Does it take a day, a week, a month, or a year? Here's a clue. The word moon and the word for the time it takes are the same word in Old English, and they're still very similar. They haven't changed much nowadays. But anyway, on Tuesday it was the new moon, just the tiniest sliver of light in the sky. Here's a story. It's not actually from the Bible, though it could be. So here we go. It was cold up there by the side of the temple. Zachary had taken up his post just as the sun began to set. It was a beautiful time of year in Jerusalem. All around there were fig trees coming into bud, and the bees from the king's hives were out scouting for the first nectar of the season. Turtle doves were cooing in the trees, and the whole great city seemed at peace. Today was the last day of the month and the beginning of the new one, and there was a law that all the workers had to lay down their tools as soon as every new month began and begin the party. You can tell Jerusalem was a very happy place, one big celebration every time the calendar changed. So all around him, as he stood up there by the side of the temple, Zachary could hear hammering of anvils, cartwheels rattling in the streets, people rushing to get home, street traders calling out their wares, workmen of all kinds wielding the tools of their trade, trying to get the jobs finished before the month ended and the celebrations began. Zachary's job most of the time was to be a doorkeeper in the temple, standing at the gates, letting people in one by one to make sure there wasn't too much of a crowd. But on this one day in the month, every month, the day of the new moon, he had to stand patiently by the side of the temple with his trumpet, waiting for the first sign of the moon in the sky. Just the tiniest little sliver of light, and he'd blow his trumpet, the month would change, and the festival would begin. It was a lovely job. The moment he blew his temple, all the sounds of work would suddenly, immediately stop. And after just a moment of silence, the cheering and the singing would begin, and the party would start. He didn't much enjoy the journey home every time. All the young men would grin like dogs and run around the city. In the dark night, they could get away with everything. But when he got home, all his family and friends would be there waiting for him, and the party would begin. The moment must be near. Was that it? His eyes couldn't quite make it out. He mustn't get it wrong. Was that it? No, there it was, just like a thin curve, a line drawn in the sky with a silver pen. It was time. Zachary put his trumpet to his lips and blew. Do you know the Jews still watch out for the new moon? They don't use trumpets anymore, they use the telephone, and they keep watch all around the world. This time round, this month, The first report came in from Darwin in Australia. That's when their new moon still begins. Not the same as our month. It begins with the new moon, which this time was last Tuesday. Same number of days in a month, though. Do the Jews still all stop work and have a party? You'll have to find a Jew and ask them. And now a prayer. If you'd like to make it your prayer, say Amen with me at the end. Dear God, you fixed the months and the years, the turning of the earth, the light of the sun and moon. Thank you for the times and the seasons, for the growth of plants and trees, the tides, the yearly change of wind and weather. Help us to use our time well, so that as we move forward with the years, we'll become the people we're meant to be, wise and bright and cheerful, and ready to do our duty in this world and to make life happier for others, forever and ever. Amen. Keep well, stay safe, may God be with you, and I hope I'll see you again soon.